This is the AHSAA Weekly, an inside look at everything happening with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. I'm John Holder. Coming up on our first show of the 2020 year, we're going to talk high school basketball. We've got the head coach of the Robert E. Lee High School Generals in Montgomery, Brian Johnson. Also, one of his star players will join us, Duke Miles. We're going to talk high school baseball. It's just around the corner with Associate Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Brandon Dean. We'll also talk high school softball. That's coming up as well. Again, Associate Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Kim Vickers, will join us to talk about high school softball season coming up. We're also going to talk about spring sports officiating. We'll be joined by the Assistant Director of Officials for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, as Ken Washington joins us from Montgomery as well. And we'll take a look at a couple of the top high school girls and boys basketball players in the state of Alabama. All that and more coming up on this week's edition of the AHSAA Weekly.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. Ox Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Youth suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Welcome back into the AHSAA Weekly. Michael Giddens had a chance earlier in the week to catch up with really a top-notch high school basketball coach in the state of Alabama, Robert E. Lee of Montgomery's Brian Johnson, also his outstanding point guard, Duke Miles.
Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good. Coach, Robert E. Lee basketball is undefeated right now. Can you just talk about this season, how it's gone so far?
This season been going good so far. I think the guys are playing well together and playing some good team basketball.
And Coach, you have a little bit of unfinished business. The last 2 seasons, you've made the playoffs. You lost to Auburn in the first round 2 years ago. And last season, you make the Final Four, but you go down to eventual state champion Mountain Brook. Can you just talk about that sense of trying to get some retribution for this team?
Yes, I think we're doing a good job of taking one game at a time, and that's been our focus all year. And I think we're making great strides to get where we need to be as long as we keep that mindset.
You're about to enter area play. You're in a tough area, 3 and 7A, where you have teams like Prattville and Enterprise, but you're still undefeated at this point. You also played in the Sneaky Pete's Rebel Classic in Vestavia Hills earlier this season. You won that tournament. You beat Hartselle and Homewood and Helena along the way. Can you just talk about what that tournament meant for preparing you for the area and preparing you for eventually taking your team to the playoffs again this season?
That tournament means a lot because we're playing a lot of teams that got a lot of poise and patience, and I think it teaches us how to deal with those type of situations with game situations.
Coach, sitting beside you is your point guard, outstanding senior point guard, Duke Miles. Can you just talk about what his leadership means for this team after you lost a bunch of seniors from last year's team?
Yeah, I think having Duke means a lot because he's been in the program for 4 years. He actually played some his freshman year on varsity. I think that's carrying over into this season with his presence, along with the other seniors. We have a good group of seniors this year. We lost a lot of seniors, but we have the core of our seniors back this year. We got 3 juniors, 3 seniors that started since their sophomore year. And I think that makes a big difference in what's going on now with this season because those seniors have been there and done that before.
Thank you, Coach. And Duke, I want to ask you the same question I asked your coach a couple minutes ago. What is that sense of unfinished business after making it to the Final Four last season? How important is it going forward and knowing, hey, we were almost there last year, we got to do that this year?
Well, it's very important, knowing that we were there so close that we could, won the championship. So now we just focus on one game at a time, like Coach said, and, respect our opponents.
Duke, you're the point guard, you're the facilitator for what has become a very high-powered and exciting offense, a lot of high-flying dunkers on your team. Can you just talk about some of your teammates and what they bring to the table on this team?
Well, some of my teammates, they high flyers and stuff. Everybody like to see flash dunk, but what they don't see is what we put in practice. We put in hard work, and everybody brings what they play their role and bring everything to the table. And one thing about our team is we all love defense. So what y'all see on offense is not what y'all really see is like what we put on defense.
And can you just talking about the team chemistry and what you put in both offense and defense, what is your favorite aspect of this team compared to the other teams you've been on at Robert E. Lee?
Well, about the chemistry is we all grew up with each other, so we bring a lot of chemistry to the team. But this team, I can say we all care about each other and we love each other and we all can play for each other.
I know you're focused on the team, but as an individual player, what do you say are your strengths and weaknesses of your game?
Well, honestly, my strength is, getting everybody involved. And as in me, I really don't see no weakness because I'm a facilitator and I love bringing my team, get my team involved in everything.
And as the point guard, you can kind of just pass the ball sometimes and then watch the plays unfold. What's it like just sitting back and watching some of these incredibly athletic teammates of yours making some high-flying dunks and plays? Do you ever have a sense of you kind of start watching instead of ball watching and not really continue to move with the play because they're just pulling off some incredible feats of athleticism?
Well, no matter what, I'm always involved, and I love watching my teammates succeed and do good, so everything. When they happy, I'm happy.
All right, and Coach Johnson, coming back to you, going to the Final Four is not an easy task, but also staying undefeated to this point in the season, getting into area play, also not an easy task. Can you just talk about what the Generals need to do in order to get back to that spot and finish the season strong this time?
Yeah, at this time we need to stay steadfast and continue to work hard in practice, and that'll carry over into our play. And also taking one game at a time, like our mindset is set to do. I think that'll make a big difference as well.
Coach and Duke, I thank you for your time. You've got 2 upcoming games. Trying to stay undefeated. You'll be at Enterprise and then hosting Prattville. Enterprise this weekend and Prattville next week. So, Coach, good luck to you, and we hope you continue strong throughout the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Coach Bryant Johnson and Duke Miles of Robert E. Lee High School.
Thank you, Michael. Coming up next on the AHSAA Weekly, we go back to the Alabama High School Athletic Association offices in Montgomery. We'll talk high school baseball with Assistant Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Brandon Dean.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
What's lurking under your home? Moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions will help you with the best plan to keep your home safe. Get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24? It is also one of the leading causes of preventable death in our nation. It is time we all start to talk more about youth suicide and how we can change these statistics. My name is Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama, and I'm working with the Jason Foundation and the AHSAA to address this serious national health issue. Visit jasonfoundation.com to learn what you can do to help prevent youth suicide.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills. Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Welcome back on AHSAA Weekly. This is a new year, a new decade, but we're still doing the AHSAA Weekly show. And for the first show of this year, we've got Brandon Dean on. Brandon Dean, how are you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well. Brandon Dean is AHSAA Assistant Director, and he is in charge of baseball here in the state. We're in January, so it's still a little ways away from baseball really getting going, but I know the throwing period starts at the end of the month. Can you talk about what the AHSAA baseball throwing period is?
Yes, that started yesterday, January the 6th on Monday. It is a throwing period of 3 weeks. We're just at this condition with balls and gloves. That means no bats, no fungal bats, no regular bats, just strictly balls and gloves to condition arms for baseball practice, which starts on January 27th.
And when does the season actually begin, when teams start playing each other?
The season begins February the 13th. That's the first playing date for baseball.
All right, and so you had the throwing period, and then teams can start actually practicing on the 27th, I believe you said. What other important dates are coming up for baseball?
Well, that's the main one right now. Just the throwing period started Monday. Just want to emphasize again, that's just only throwing with balls and gloves and baseballs. That means no pick drills, no relay throws, no bunt coverage, just strictly throwing period with balls and gloves.
And what is the purpose of incentivizing this period of time where you can only do certain things? What does that contribute towards the building of the team?
It's really about safety, getting arms in condition for the regular season, having pitchers and catchers condition their arms with long toss and whatnot, just to be ready for the regular season practice schedule, which starts in 3 weeks. And that's the main focus of the throwing period right now.
All right, we're looking forward to baseball getting started, and we're glad to have you on. Brandon Dean, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was AHSAA Assistant Director Brandon Dean covering baseball, and we're looking forward to the baseball season getting underway in February.
Thank you, Michael and Brandon. Coming up next, Michael talks high school softball with Associate Director of the Alabama High School Athletic Association, Kim Vickers.
Ms. Kim, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's great to have you on the show, the first show of 2020. And I know it's still January, so we have football just finished. Everybody's been really excited about football. But now we've got basketball and baseball and what you're in charge of, softball, coming up. Now, I know it's still January, but can you just talk about the important dates for softball coming up right here starting in January and when the season starts in February?
Sure, Mike, I'll be glad to. January is a very important time for softball in the state of Alabama. We began the throwing period yesterday on January the 6th, and it will last for 3 weeks before the first official practice date, which begins on January the 27th, and also some important dates for coaches in the month of January, as they have to have schedules posted by the 15th and rosters put online. So it's a busy time for coaches to get their players prepared for the upcoming season.
Now, softball is one of the fastest growing sports in the state of Alabama. Over the last 15 years, it's been growing tremendously. Can you just talk about how it's changed over the last decade and a half, and what's going forward? How much more could it grow in this state?
Yes, sir. Yeah, as a former coach, I personally have seen softball change tremendously over the last few years. You know, we began officially playing fast-pitch softball in the state of Alabama in 1996. However, the sport has become more competitive over I would say, the last 10 to 15 years. And just recently, I would say it's become more of a strategy game and a hitter's game. You know, when fast pitch first began in the state of Alabama, it was more of a pitcher-catcher's game. If you had a good pitcher and catcher, you could defeat almost anyone. But the bats, the equipment, and the coaching and the players, they've all advanced over the last few years. And softball has been one of our continuously growing sports also in the last 5 years. You know, over the last 5 years, we've seen an increase where in 2019, we had over 372 of our high schools participating in the sport of softball and almost 10,000 athletes participating. So as you can see, the sport has tremendously grown over the last few years.
Well, it's outstanding to see all the growth in softball over the last 5 years, and hope it continues to forward in that trajectory. But there's always this ongoing debate in both baseball and softball. It's about high school athletics versus travel ball. Can you just talk about some of the rules and regulations that go into that, and also things like the approved bats and whatever else goes into what you have to keep focus on when you're going to play high school ball or travel ball or both?
Yes, sir. Travel ball or outside participation with our sports is a huge concern, not only for our coaches, but for our parents. We get numerous phone calls in our office daily, and especially this time of the year, of what is allowed and not allowed with outside participation. You know, travel ball for softball is huge across the state. I mean, it has grown tremendously as well. However, once travel ball season takes place, they're following rules that are slightly different than what the high school rules are. We follow the NFHS rules, and which follow the USA, which was formerly the AHSAA softball organization, and many of our travel club associations don't. They follow the USSSA association rules. So there are some differences there, but our main concern is not necessarily on the rules, but it is more with the equipment that is allowed in the two different organizations, as well as the participation of the students possibly violating what they can do with the high school season. One of the main differences is with the travel ball organizations, they allow the athletes to use bats that are not approved by the NFHS, which we follow. So these bats must have, all legal bats for high school sports must have the approved stamps on them. And these approved bat lists, as well as the images of the stamps, can be found through a link on our website. But the bats must be approved by AHSAA or the USA certification marks on them. And if they're not approved, it could cause a player and a coach to be ejected from a contest if they're caught using one of these non-approved bats.
Well, I know the rules and regulations, some people it's very important to, other people it's just kind of mumbo jumbo, but we have to keep these things straight because in the end we just want to play ball. And I know these girls are very excited to get ready and get on the field, but it was very exciting to have you on the show today. AHSAA Assistant Director Kim Vickers, glad to have you.
Thank you. I appreciate you asking me. I'm glad to be here.
And we'll have more AHSAA Weekly right after this.
You suicide. Don't want to talk about it? You should. Hi, I'm Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama. 4 out of 5 teens who attempt suicide have given clear warning signs. By knowing the warning signs associated with suicide and knowing how to help, you could save a life. Visit jasonfoundation.com and start learning how you can make a difference.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
Don't crack under the pressure of foundation issues. The certified specialists at Ox Foundation Solutions can permanently fix foundation problems at the best price guaranteed. And did you know, moisture and unsafe air from your crawl space can infiltrate your home, causing health hazards and high utility bills? Ox Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Welcome back to the AHSAA Weekly. John Holder back with you once again this week, and for the first time in 2020, we are going to be visiting with the Assistant Director of Officials for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Ken Washington joins us from the AHSAA offices in Montgomery. Ken, let's be the first to wish you a Happy New Year. Glad to have you on board with us once again on the AHSAA Weekly.
Happy New Year's, John. I'm glad to be here, like always.
Well, Ken, there may be a lot of folks out there that maybe had a New Year's resolution that they wanted to try something new in 2020. Maybe there's a new job they want to take on, something that they wanted to do to challenge themselves. And so we're going to speak to those people out there this week, talking about maybe the folks that thought about getting into officiating. It is obviously the fall sports are completed. We're right in the middle of winter sports right now, but spring sports are coming up. And so it is not too late, and you're going to tell us about this, certainly not too late to be signed up and be an official for the various spring sports that the Alabama High School Athletic Association sponsors. So tell us about what those sports are, what you've got coming up in the spring.
Well, John, if you got 20/20 vision in 2020, we need you on our side. I heard somebody say that. I thought that was just the funniest thing. But as far as our sports, we got softball, baseball, indoor, outdoor track, and we have soccer. And I would like to encourage officials or fans who think they can do the job to come out and help us out with that. And the registration is right around the corner. And we want to get as many people signed up that are qualified as possible.
We have a lot of spring sports coming up. You mentioned a lot of those, a lot of games out there. So there's a great opportunity for folks to get on board in these spring sports are coming up. It's a great way to get outdoors. It's a great way to get exercise and a great way to give back to your community by being an official. So how do folks, what's the process like? How do folks register to be a high school official for these various spring sports that we have coming up?
It's pretty simple. Basically, you would go to our website at AHSAA.arbitersports.com, and we send people there. You go there, and there's a registration tab. They'll click that, and then they'll go through a 5-step process on getting started. It's really simple. All our sports are listed there when the sports start and when the sports end, and they just go through those qualifications, and they're pretty much ready to go.
And Ken, let's talk about some of the things that they may have to do as far as cost. Let's also talk about some of the things they may have to do as far as getting training and camps and clinics and things like that.
Yeah, once they get signed up, the cost is a low expense. It's $60 to get started. And during that tab, we have a place they can go for a local associations they would join, and within that association where they would get a lot of the training. This summer we'll have officiating Alabama Day. For our summer training would be a valuable piece for us for our summer training for officials, and we want to encourage everybody to sign up for that once they go on and register for the specific sport that they're interested in.
Ken, I know that right around the corner next month, as a matter of fact, in February, we will get started actually with spring sports. I know we'll be playing baseball and softball and tennis and things like that, and soccer coming up in the month of February. Certainly not too late, but I know there are some deadlines there. So give folks maybe an idea of when they need to act, and is there the deadline to get on board and be registered to try to become an official?
Yeah, our deadlines are posted on the site, and if you're viewing this today, you can just go to the website that I mentioned earlier. The dates of when you can start and when the deadline are all listed there. And if you miss an opportunity for that sport, just go ahead and register for the next sport. We love officials that want to do multiple sports. If you was an ex-athlete or a coach or a fan that's in the stands just with the idea of you think you can do a good job, we encourage you to come. We would love to have you and to support our member school and our student athletes.
Ken, I know you'll agree with me. It's a great thing to be an official. It's a great way to give back to your school and community. It's also a great way to have fun, get some exercise, make a little extra money as well on the side, perhaps. It's all positive as far as becoming an official for the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
It is. It's a great opportunity to volunteer, almost a paid volunteer in a sense, to make a little extra money, doing something that you love to do, and being involved in it. It's a lot of energy and passion involved in it, and it's really a great thing to do. I love it. I started at 27, and I'm 41 now. I've been doing it for a while, and I want to encourage everyone to do it. I mean, it's a good thing to do.
Ken, obviously all positives to being an official for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. Great way to give back to your school and community. Also a great way to maybe earn a little extra money, get some good exercise, get out in the spring and enjoy some of the great spring weather we have here in Alabama. Certainly just all positives to being an official for the Alabama High School Athletic Association.
It is, John. This year we got our raises, which is always a good thing. It's a good way of earning extra money. We want to encourage all our former athletes or any athletes that ever played or coached or know the game. We want to encourage you to come out and give back to the sport. It's a fun way of meeting new people and also providing our student athlete with quality officiating, which our game truly needs.
Ken, thank you for joining us here on the first edition of the 2020 year of the Alabama High School Athletic Association weekly program. We'll be catching up with you, I'm sure, throughout the remaining winter and spring months as we close out the school year in 2020. Thank you for joining us this week again on the AHSAA Weekly.
Thank you, John.
Ken Washington, Assistant Director of Officials for the Alabama High School Athletic Association, with us once again on the AHSAA Weekly. Back in just a moment.
Did you know that suicide is the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 24? It is also one of the leading causes of preventable death in our nation. It is time we all start to talk more about youth suicide and how we can change these statistics. My name is Nick Saban, head football coach at the University of Alabama, and I'm working with the Jason Foundation and the AHSAA to address this serious national health issue. Visit jasonfoundation.com to learn what you can do to help prevent youth suicide.
Hot under the collar because your basement is full of water? Call a local company you can trust. AHSAA Foundation Solutions. We use the most advanced water management system to stop water from invading your basement for good. Things feeling a little uneven at home? AHSAA Foundation Solutions will fix your uneven concrete sidewalk, driveway, or basement in no time. AHSAA Foundation Solutions has the best plan to keep your home safe. If you are experiencing any issues with your sidewalks, basement, crawl space, or foundation, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
WOTM, your new home for high school sports in Alabama. WOTM has you covered with live coverage of all 7 championship games of the Super 7. WOTM is available to all TV providers in Alabama. If WOTM is not currently a part of your channel lineup, call your provider and request that they add WOTM. WOTM, your exclusive TV home for the AHSAA Super 7 basketball, baseball, and softball championships. All live only on WOTM.
If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from AHSAA Foundations.
Back on the AHSAA Weekly, we are in the middle of basketball season, and we're going to spend some time showing you 2 of the top players in the state. This is one of the top girls players in the state of Alabama as we take you back to the Legacy Arena in Birmingham at last year's state finals. This is Central Tuscaloosa's Quintasia Leatherwood. She was the 5A Player of the Year last year, one of the outstanding players in the state of Alabama, the MVP of the Class 5A title game. We see her in action here against Madison Academy in that 5A title game last year at the Legacy Arena in Birmingham, a consummate point guard. Earlier this year, she had over 25 assists in a game earlier this year. And this is one of the top boys players in the state of Alabama, if not the nation. This is Tommy Moore of Class 1A, Lindsay Lane Christian up in Athens and Limestone County. He is the leading scorer in boys high school basketball in the United States. He's averaging 45 points per game. We're seeing him in action from this year. We saw him against North Jackson High School and against R.A. Hubbard in these clips. Against North Jackson, he averaged 45 points, which is his average against the Chiefs. In a loss to R.A. Hubbard High School out of Cortland, he had 60 points in that loss to R.A. Hubbard. Averaging, as we said, 45.1 points per game. He is the leading scorer, not only in the state of Alabama, but he is the leading boys scorer in the entire United States of America. As a matter of fact, 3 of the top 5 leading scorers in the state of in the nation in high school basketball are from right here in the state of Alabama. Tommy Moore of Lindsay Lane Christian in Athens. That's going to wrap up this edition of this week's AHSAA Weekly. We'll see you back here next week.